All right, and welcome back to NBA Shorts. We have Alex Chick again on the line. You know him. He's one of our NBA bloggers. Today we're going to be discussing part of his favorite team, Gregg Popovich. Now, we bring this up because Tim Duncan actually was the interim coach for tonight's game. Alex, let's bring up a little bit of a bigger question here. Is it time for Gregg Popovich to hang up his cleats? Time for him to retire?
Oh my God. This is how crazy people get, okay? We've been in the playoffs for 22 straight years. You tell me any coach that's been able to do that, any team that's been able to do that. And now we have one bad season, and we're like, all right, Gregg Popovich, he needs to retire. He's done. He's done. He's out of it. He can't do it no more. I mean, let's not get crazy here. Gregg Popovich is getting old. He's getting old. That's fair. But the man can still coach, okay? I mean, I'm glad Tim Duncan and Becky Hammond are under him, but, I mean, it's still Gregg Popovich, one of the best coaches of all time. No, it's not time for him to retire. He still has so much. And then with his young crew, oh, my gosh. No, he's fine. He's fine. It's one bad season. One bad season. I'm sick of people telling people Gregg Popovich is done. No, he's fine. He's fine.
Let me say this, because I think Popovich has earned sort of the Belichick right, where when Belichick wants to retire, he can do his own thing. The Patriots aren't going to tell him to go away. The Spurs are never going to tell Popovich to go away. However,
exactly.
Let me argue against it just for the hell of it. Is it possible that he's starting to get a little kooky here? He's come out and said he hates the three ball. He's built this sort of weird team, and maybe this is on R.C. Buford, but it's a mid-range jump shooting team, and they're 12th place in the West, and LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, and the team makes no sense, and he's refusing to acknowledge that the team just isn't good, and just doesn't want to hit the rebuild button, and it doesn't seem like he wants to bring in younger players to build the next great Spurs team. Isn't it fair to say that, hey, maybe it's beneficial that we can hit the reset button?
There's a couple things, because that was a lot. So, there's a couple things, okay? Gregg Popovich has always been crazy.
Yeah.
We've known that. We've known that from his post-game interviews, and you know what? Part of it, I absolutely love it.
All the great ones are crazy.
Free ball. Of course, you gotta be the odd one. You gotta be odd to be number one. Now, the Kawhi Leonard thing really threw the Spurs off balance. I think we can both agree to that. LaMarcus Aldridge has been declining for years. DeMar DeRozan was pretty much the only thing we could get out of the Kawhi Leonard trade. So that's where the middle range thing comes in. It is awkward, and it's not my favorite thing, but it's there. As far as not getting young players to form the new Spurs, I mean, we got DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Lonnie Walker. I love Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker's like one of my favorite players now. As far as the notion that we're not getting young players is, I see what you're saying. Like, we haven't made it a priority, but the young players are there and they're forming and they're going to be really good. And I'm really excited actually about the Spurs' future in those three players, and I'm sure there'll be more along the way. But he is getting up there, and I think the problem is we've won for 22 years. We've been to the playoffs for 22 years. Then the Kawhi Leonard thing happened, and now the Spurs are in a little bit of an unfamiliar territory now, not being the best or one of the best teams in the NBA. We're not going to the playoffs. It doesn't look like it. By the way, we're 12th in the West, but we're only one game behind ninth. So, I mean, we can still, by winning one game and having one team lose one game, we're ninth. So that's a little bit skewed. We are about 3 or 4 games behind 8th place, so I'll give you that. But I mean, we're in unfamiliar territory. I think the Spurs should hit the reset button. I was saying this at the beginning of the season. Like trade DeMar DeRozan. He's got an expiring contract or a player option this year. LaMarcus Aldridge expires next year, and I was like, I'm ready to get rid of him. And, commit to that rebuild. Get those new younger players. We have a great core, but I think the Spurs are in unfamiliar territory, and they don't really know what to do with it right now.
Let's wrap it up with this. When Popovich does call it quits, who is your best guess that actually takes over? Is it Becky Hammon? Is it Tim Duncan? Is it Brett Brown when the 76ers fire him? Or is it somebody else? Who would you say is the guy that actually takes over for Popovich?
There's three I have. There's three options I have. And undoubtedly, I think Tim Duncan takes over. I feel bad because I would love Becky Hammon. She's deserved it. She's been on the staff. Becky Hammon, I feel like, should be the head coach, but I think undoubtedly it would go to Tim Duncan. Just to throw in a wild card in there, I can't remember his first name, but the head coach from Kansas, he's been in cahoots with the Spurs, and him and Gregg Popovich are really good friends. DJ Self, I think is his name. I might be wrong.
Bill Self, yeah.
But the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, they've been in cahoots with him. So that's like a wild card that I feel like he's the third one. I would absolutely hate if the Spurs hired Brett Brown. I don't think that would happen, but I think if I had to choose, it'd be Tim Duncan, Becky Hammon second, and then Self. If the way I would have it, I would have Becky Hammon and then Tim Duncan and then Self. But that would be my kind of thinking. But I do think it would go to Tim Duncan.
All right, and that's going to do it for this episode of NBA Shorts. Is it time for Gregg Popovich to retire? Sounds like Alex got a little angry when I asked the question. That's going to do it for this episode of NBA Shorts. Hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time.